From the RSV Media Center in Belize City, good evening and welcome to the Thursday, May 20th edition of Love TV's Evening News. I am Patrick Jones.
And good evening, I am Anshu Gidwani. We're 20 hours away from the start of the annual Toledo Cacao Festival in the South. We'll tell you a bit more. We'll tell you about that a little bit more later on in this broadcast. But first, let's check the other stories for today that are making headlines this evening.
The council officials say work to resume at the Michael Finnegan Market in June.
Belizean farmers receive training in Integrated Farming Center.
And the Ministry of Foreign Affairs holds forum on international trade agreements.
Details of these stories and more are coming up on the broadcast tonight. But first, here is a word from our sponsor. Work on the completion of the new Queen's Square Market is scheduled to resume next month. Love TV's Dalila Ikal reports from the Pound Yard.
Work is scheduled to continue on the Michael Finnegan Market, says City Council and the representatives of the Social Investment Fund, who met this morning with vendors at the temporary Pound Yard Market. The Michael Finnegan Market was initially set for completion in January, but the project has only seen an approximate 99% completion of the first phase alone. Representatives from CIF informed vendors this morning that work on the market will be resumed on June 1st. Daniel Cano, acting executive director at CIF, explained why the delay.
We had expected to roll right into the second phase for the project to be completed in January. However, as you rightly said, there was an interruption and we are a few months behind. The main reason being because of the large amount of money that was required for the second phase and some of the delays we encountered while constructing the first phase. For example, during the construction of the first phase, we had to do a lot of extra groundwork to take out a lot of the unsuitable soil under the ground, which took up monies we did not budget for. And also the second phase looks at putting in a lot more stalls. So to get all those monies together, to get approval for those monies from the Caribbean Development Bank, took a couple more than we had anticipated, and also to continue with the same contractor because we operate on the process of putting out things to tender. In this particular case, we had to request a waiver to continue with the same contractor since he was already deeply involved in the works. No?
Are the inclusion of the stalls the only part of phase 2, or is there more?
At the end of phase 2, there would be a total of 34 double stalls and 7 single stalls, as well as the fencing would be completed, a proper section for waste disposal, proper bathrooms, two sets of bathrooms in the market itself, as well as looking at all the drainage issues and covering the floor properly. No?
The news, however, does not bring any sense of satisfaction to the over 70 vendors currently at the Pound Yard. The group, who resoundingly rejects the $5 rental fee increase by the council, was also deeply dissatisfied at the advancement of the project and even the design. Vendors were concerned about the space available for their goods, saying the new market will be crowded.
The design allows for a large window to be opened up, and that would create a canopy to provide shade outside. So there would be provision for displaying of the produce outside. There's also a counter that's designed onto each stall where they could put produce, plus there's the inside storage. So we believe with the combination of those, they should be able to fit their produce. I think it's something that really, until they see it, then they would be able to appreciate it better and see how they could best utilize it. No?
Despite their efforts and explanations, the vendors remained unconvinced at the proposed efficiency of the Michael Finnegan Market. Nonetheless, the work will start on June 1st and is expected to be completed before the end of September. The entire project is costing near $1.35 million. Reporting for Love News, I am Dalila Ikal.
A seminar hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade is underway at the Radisson Fort George Hotel. The seminar on international trade agreements will zero in on opportunities for Belize's private sector by identifying opportunities for increased levels of trade and investments in Belize. Some of the trade agreements up for discussion are the European Union Economic Partnership Agreement and the ongoing CARICOM Canada negotiations of the Trade and Development Agreement. Love News spoke with the acting director at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Orla Canton Coleman.
We have several objectives that we're trying to accomplish through this workshop. One of it is, of course, as I mentioned earlier, we wanted to inform stakeholders of what we're doing administratively with respect to implementation of the Economic Partnership Agreement. And we've been working in conjunction with our other technical colleagues in the other ministries in terms of trying to come up with an assessment of where we are in relation to the commitments and obligations arising out of the EPA. Needless to say, it's been a very hard and challenging work to get done because most of the ministries, well, people are overworked and we don't have a lot of human resources to work with. But we've been moving ahead and we haven't completed the assessment, but we're close to completion and we're very much pleased with what we have. And so we would use this occasion to inform stakeholders of where we are with that work. Secondly, we're in negotiations with Canada for our CARICOM Canada trade negotiations. The first round was launched last year, November. And again, we think it's timely to present an update on where we are with the negotiations. But more than that, that is one aspect that we're trying to accomplish from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade. But the Office of the Trade Negotiation, people who are here, also want to see if they can elicit and solicit feedback on some of the more contentious areas in the CARICOM Canada negotiations.
Coleman says that Belizean presenters are presenting on the areas of concern to Belize, and presenters from the Office of the Trade Negotiations are providing participants with a broader overview of the negotiations.
We have 3 persons who are here. We have the private sector liaison, that's one, and the services specialist, and also the director of the LDCs. Then we also have Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade that's coordinating or in coordination with them. And then we have a whole heap of private sector people and of course representatives from other ministries who are very much involved in much of what has been going on. So for example, to some of them it will not necessarily be new information because they've been part and parcel of the discussions that we've been having with them. And again, for others, as I mentioned to you earlier, we're seeing a lot of new faces from the private sector. So for them, it may be new information.
Okay, what is the most important thing that you think will come out of this 2-day seminar?
I think that we are once again trying to engage the private sector. I should add too that we've always been consulting with the private sector, and sometimes you think that you are making great strides, and then a little while later you realize that it's almost like you're starting over. But I'm really hoping that the Ambassador Tucker gave a wonderful speech, a very motivating speech, and I really hope that we can continue to build on this, because we can't always be starting over from scratch. We have to progress in our dialogue. We have to reach the point where we feel that we're really getting the private sector involved. And as time is going by and we're doing more and more of these negotiations and we're liberalizing more, not because we simply want to liberalize, but more because of globalization, I would like sincerely to encourage the private sector to come out. And I think the point cannot be lost that we cannot continue to operate in isolation or operate as though it is of no concern what is happening outside, because it's going to affect us. And I believe that it's only by building awareness and knowledge that you can actually prepare for these things so that it doesn't catch you off guard or in a situation where it's too late to do anything. And so again, I'd like to appeal and encourage the private sector and all stakeholders, as a matter of fact, everyone to come and listen and start becoming engaged in these discussions.
Those who who are interested in participating in the seminar are encouraged to sign up at 8:30 tomorrow morning as the presentations are scheduled to resume at 9 o'clock.